Students, today in 12th classes, which topic is going to be discussing is namely called as plant tissue culture. You know the definitions of plant tissue culture. That means no need to be seen a small excised plants. It is going to under the culture medium. How much amount of cells it must be found on the leaves. Each cell became developed into plantlet. That plantlet it hand over to the botany. That is a major aspect of plant tissue culture techniques. In plant tissue culture techniques, the last class, which topic is going to discuss about is commonly called as germplasm conservation and cryopreservations. The next class, which topic is going to discuss about namely commonly is intellectual property rights. It is commonly called as IPR. Intellectual property rights. It is a category of personal property. That property is predominantly consist of patents, trademarks, copyrights. The intellectual property rights, these are given by creations of human intellectual. Or creations of human intellect. That intellectual property or a personal property, it must be include patent, trademarks and copyrights. The rights is not only include the patent, is not only include trademarks, it is not only include the copyrights, it must be possess some other rights. Some other rights it must be include trade secret, publicity rights, and minimal impact. And fourth one, rights against unfair competition. So these are things, it must be include some other rights, is namely called as trade secret, publicity rights, minimal impact rights, rights against unfair competitions. So now I'm going to discuss about what is the objectives of intellectual property rights. What is the first objects? In biotechnology, transforming microorganism. And transforming plants and genetically modified organism. Or genetically modified microorganisms and infectious microbes. Those are all. It is a rightful properties of inventor, because what is commonly called as transforming microorganism means the microorganism already having possession some other character, such a character should be altered. That's called transforming microorganism. And transformed plants are also called transgenic plants. And genetically modified organism and infective microorganism. Those are things, it is a rightful properties of inventor. These are first objectives. Second thing, who are the inventor? They can be possessed having all rights to the property. Or otherwise known as with the help of own knowledges, who have to be developed as a new organism or new species or genetically modified organism, the person only having all rights. But that rights will not affected by any others without legal permission. So without legal permission, no one never should be accompanied with this is my property. With the help of that, under the government law, under the property agreement, they can be considered as, they can utilize it to be prepare any kinds of organism. Third thing, the rights of inventor must be prevented, because any one of the member for his own knowledges, they can be created own product that thinks the right is must be prevented. Which one of the things responsible for is a highly prevented, it can be created certain laws. Who are created certain laws means under the governments. So the government, they can developing certain law, through the law, the property that must be prevented. The last one component is commonly called as the intellectual property rights. It is not only protected for this way, it's protected some other than the way. It include patents, trademarks, trade secrets, and geographical indications, and designs. Those are all commonly called as objectives of intellectual property rights. Next one I am going to discuss about for intellectual property rights is commonly called as patents. So what do you mean commonly called as a patents? Patent is nothing but it is a special right to the inventor or discoverer. So what is a patent? This is nothing but special rights of the inventor or discoverer that must be granted by the government. Which way the government they can be granted? Through legislative law. That law to given rights to trade the new articles, because by his own knowledge that can be produced through new things. The article means commonly called as things. The things who are marketing in the all over the world only the person of inventor or the discoverer. So discoverer or the inventor having the full rights to trade the articles in all over the world. Second thing, patent is nothing but a personal property which must be licensed. It must be sold by a person, or it must be sold by an organization. Like other new property, or like you know that. So every person have to regarding property. That property you have to be sold a new person, or you have to sold any other organization. What the normal property you got to be sold such a way that owner or discoverer or inventor should be sold it. But other person without legalization, without under the government law, there is no possible to sold. That is second thing. Third thing is nothing but the patent terms give the inventor's rights. So the patent terms give the inventor rights that are responsible to exclude the rights from others making, selling, for his invention. So no one other people will not utilize that knowledge to make new property. That's why that law is responsible for prevent others making, selling or using that properties. Next one I am going to discuss commonly called as biosafety and bioethics. Before entering biosafety and bioethics, what are the things? It is highly applicable to biotechnology. That means advances in the biotechnology is and their applications which deals with genetic manipulation. So once I will say like this commonly called as advances in the biotechnology and their applications which deals with genetic manipulation. What is the meaning of genetic manipulation? Find out desirable traits or desirable gene from out of the source. That gene introduced into the host of plants, resulting new organism that can be generated. That is that main role or main aspect of gene manipulation. That the things it is highly applicable to biotechnologies and its application. Next one I am going to discuss about what is the definitions of biosafety. Next I am going to about commonly called as biosafety. Biosafety is nothing but preventions of large scale of loss of biological integrity. So what is the definition commonly called as? Large scales of loss of biodiversity that must be prevented. Such a new even method is commonly called as biosafety. The biosafety methods, it is especially implemented through laboratory conditions, because if it is not followed as an instruction given by the laboratory, whose are contributed the researchers, the people only become suffer. So that's why every day biosafety measures, it is contributed at a time of research given by researchers. The biosafety, if it is not as followed, mean resulting so many numbers of complications as well as so many kinds of chemical emission which leads to affect who are contributed research in the laboratory, the person will be highly suffer. That's why the government, it is strictly followed as biosafety in the laboratory. That is commonly called as biosafety. So once you have to like commonly called as preventions of large scale loss of biological integrity. So next time we are going commonly called as bioethics. Bioethics it include, this is called LC. Ethical, legal and social implication. that is commonly called as LC2C. So bioethics is refers to a definition are commonly called as ethical problem that must be arise due to developmental biology and also medicines. So once I recall you, bioethics, it is nothing but ethical problem that must become due to developmental biology as well as medicine science, which is responsible for development of ethical issues. The ethical issues, it is developed due to highly developed science accompanied with that modern biology as well as modern medicines. But in our country, bioethics, it is concerned with ethical problem or ethical question that must be raised. So bioethics, it is concerned with there may be arise ethical questions. Where that ethical question there may be arise mean where it can respond they can be possessed interrelationship among life science, biotechnologies, and medicines. So bioethics, it also include personal value explore. So bioethics, it also include personal value explore in primary health care and other branch of medicines. So now I'm going to like this. Bioethics or a scope of bioethics is always accompanied with biotechnology, cloning, gene therapy, life extension, human genetic engineering, last one, manipulation in biology that deals with altering DNA, RNA and proteins. So one scientific you commonly called as bioethics or a scope of bioethics. It's always accompanied with biotechnology. That's a call the new events. Cloning, that's a call it make carbon capsule. What I call gene therapy. Treatment given in gene is commonly called as gene therapy, and also called life extensions. The next one, human genetic engineering. The next one, manipulation in biology that leads to altering DNA, RNA and protein. The one more is commonly called as astroethics. Life in space. So these are things is commonly called as scope of bioethics. If much scope is available, those kinds of things, in future generation, the bioethics, it is well developed. So the much development that occur in the bioethics resulting in is a hazardous effect in modern evolution. Much development that must be occur in the bioethics result is commonly called as effect in evolution. If the evolution that can be going to be affect mean the bioethics that can be proposed new proposal ideas. So due to new generation or due to new alteration they will be occur mean each and every day you have to propose new proposal they can be developed or new idea they can be developed. So due to stop these kinds of idea, these things it can be permanently they may be occur. So here the LC program that been commonly called as ethical, legal and social implications programs was founded in during 1990. That LC program it is always accompanied with human genome project. What is it? The LC program is always accompanied with human genome project. What is that role of or what is that aim of LC? The aim of LC is nothing but to identify and issues raised genomic research. But in the world, who are first contributed for human genome research? The Human Genome Project, who are first contributed is commonly called as USC. Particularly is commonly called as National Institute of Healthcare. But that Human Genome Project, a part of them hand over to US Department of Energy. A part of human genome researchers hand over to LC by Human Department of Energy. Next one I am going to discuss what commonly called as genetic engineering appraisal committee. What is it? Genetic engineering appraisal committee. How to commonly called as GAC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. What is that? The commonly called as Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. That is as commonly called as, it is a top rank of Ministry of environment, forest, and global changes. What to say? Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee is commonly called as top ranges of under the Ministry of Environment, Forest, and Global Changes. Global Engineering Appraisal Committee, how it can be established, or what are the reasons it must be established? That committee is responsible for giving approval. That committee responsible giving authority, which was to be given to highly authority to them, that is commonly called as. What are the organism? It must be possess highly toxicity. Or which cell it responsible, they can be possess highly toxicity. Or what are the things it responsible for highly used? Or what are the things it highly manufactured? Or what are the things highly exported? Or what are the things highly imported? Those are all the things who have to be given authorities commonly called as Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. Why that kinds of committee can be established? That responsible committee called as, that committees it is give as grant. That committees it must be given to permission to extensive use of hazardous microorganisms. Then transgenic in research. The third one, industrial productions. For the things who have to given approval authorities commonly called as GSC. Then the GSC or Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, it is responsible for releasing genetic engineering products. Genetic engineering, microorganism and their products. That genetic engineering microorganism and the products which is are released into the environment. How it can possible to releasing environment without a trial? Yes. Before the releasing the products in the environment, it must be included, it must be extended commonly called as environmental trials, or also called experimental trials. So without experimental trials, the genetic engineering microorganism and the genetic engineering products does not possible to releasing environment. See, it must experimental trials. The last one commonly called as, what is that? Future of biotechnology. The future of biotechnology is nothing but it is became as a comprehensive scientific venture. What to say? It became as a comprehensive scientific venture from the point of academic and a commercial angles. So academic side as well as a commercial value is commonly called as is a comprehensive scientific venture. Within a short time, we have to be use sequence of human genome. Or sequence of some other organism. In future, biotechnology will be great exacting. So all the people in the world it must be think about the great exacting in biotechnology, because the development of biotechnology which leads to new scientific revolution. So what do you say? The development in biotechnology which leads to new scientific revelation, which could be change the life and the future of peoples. You know, already the revolution happened in industries. Already the revolution happened in computers. Likewise, the revolution it must be occur in biotechnology, so that the biotechnology it must be promised, or the biotechnologies is responsible for assured. What assured to be given by biotechnology is commonly called as there happen major changes in many aspects or many level at many things. So the biotechnology it must be given assured, or it must be promise major changes in many aspects for modern life, are also called or the human life became it must be happen lot of changes that they can be possible to occur. So that things is commonly called as futures of biotechnology. Thank you.